Hi, I'm Fox.
I'm Ragable.
I'm Couchguy.
And you're watching the Two Smart Guys show. And this week we're bringing you the latest and greatest news that catches our interest.
Fire sales. I like a good fire sale every now and then.
Yeah, not the latest and greatest, but it certainly caught our interest.
And by the way, you missed it already. Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gone. It's done.
There
So-
needs to be like a geek alert system that goes off. Because
called
I
Twitter.
honestly am out of the loop. Oh, well, obviously I don't follow the same people you have.
I would have totally have missed it if I didn't woke up in the middle of the night and checked the internet.
Had I not called him at like 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock in the morning, I would know nothing about it.
Yeah. And you did wake me up, by the way.
I figured I was, because you had the, huh? So,
Anyways, the big news is HP. They decided, you know what? We're sick of being number one. We're quitting the computer business.
see, I'm really confused by what they plan on doing. Are they going to make printers? Their printers suck.
So, yes, the printers are okay, but they're scanners. I hate their scanners and their multi-function printers.
Well, and didn't they just commit to... Okay, so are they just going to do servers? Is that really what they're going to do?
I don't know. They do networking equipment, they do SAN storage, they do servers, they do blades. They do a lot of enterprise business equipment. And so I don't know if they're shutting down their entire hardware thing or if it's just consumer electronics.
So I
like consumer electronics.
I have an interesting question. Was it the chicken or the egg that started, HP? Was it their server side or was it their PC, the consumer PCs that actually got them credibility on one side or the other? Because
I thought it was their software. I thought they were doing software.
It was a calculator, wasn't it?
it was.
Didn't they make calculators?
There's actually a really
I'm serious.
letter from 1953 from the owner of HP saying, I know nothing and neither does anyone at my organization about computers.
Anyways, they listened to Steve Jobs, which is another story, the next story.
By the way, I have a lot to say about that.
And he said that it's a post-PC era, and that these things are the future. In your phone, that you no longer need computers, or most people aren't going to be using computers.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense because I think that the monkey was pulling the tail on something when they.
So
yeah, see, and I've read these articles before. I've heard this statement before, and I have to disagree with that. That there is still the place for the personal computer. The market for it is certainly going to diminish because of these devices, but for the most part, like especially right now, the people that are buying these devices already have a computer. And
well, not only that, the only thing they're trying to replace is the weight of a laptop. They want to have a laptop. They just don't want to have the weight. So what you're replacing is the antiquated people who are making a 4-pound, 12-pound laptop.
Here's the deal, though. They were right. Now, as of I think last Thursday, Apple's the number one computer manufacturer because they count tablets as computers. They took over the number one spot from HP, and that's when they decided to call it quits. And they saw this coming, so they bought the cheapest mobile device company they could, which was Palm, like a year ago, for how many millions or billions of dollars?
It was long. They've had it longer than that because the Palm Pre's been out for a couple of years.
Yeah, it was made by Palm. They bought Palm.
I have a hard time believing that.
Yeah, HP bought Palm.
I have a really hard time believing that just because Steve Jobs swung his big member around, that suddenly HP cowered in the corner like a scared schoolgirl. I'm sorry, but that's ridiculous in business sense.
Is that they just suddenly stopped? It wasn't like we're decreasing, we're cutting back on models, we're going to be slimming it down. It was cold turkey.
No, they're like, you know what?
Entire division out.
We're gonna quit while we're ahead.
Yeah, it's like hey, we're gonna stop making Windows. By the way, it's done. We're over.
Yeah,
they pretty much have. Have you seen Windows 8?
Safari is so much cooler because you guys are outselling us. We're gonna stop doing IE. No, not gonna happen.
Look up what they're doing with Windows 8. You're gonna really love that.
They're doing the same thing that everyone else is doing. They're all trying to make one style of system, and it was definitely inspired by the Mac.
Everybody's going to the OSs for these things.
Everybody's going to
run on ARM,
stupid,
lightweight, all run on Java. The new apps for Windows 8,
Java.
JavaScript.
Okay, Java.
That's what they're doing.
No.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. And there's a tile interface. They're doing away with the old interface.
No. Jobs, speech about not relying on a third party, hindering on an interpretation language for your system, is completely relying on a third
They're doing it so it'll be compatible regardless of processor, so people don't have to rewrite between ARM and Intel.
It makes
what's happening with the Android market? It's segmented. There's problems with certain phones. There's problems with certain, platforms. It's a mess to me personally.
But it makes perfect sense to run Java in this scenario because Java was designed to do one thing: to bridge. Doesn't matter what you're running. If you can run the Java applet, you can run any piece of software that's written for Java.
Yeah, except people are making. I don't know. It's just. It's not performance oriented, and
it's not.
And that's why the Apple hardware runs circles around the other hardware.
But we're not looking at performance-oriented programming anymore. We're looking at something that works on all of your devices the same, and they don't have performance when you're talking about an iPhone compared to a,
Well,
Mac.
let me put it this way. Not every single Android phone performs the same.
It's true. But if they're running the Java applet, they'll be able to run the same program. Not necessarily as fast, but the same program.
Well, essentially you're running the same system, but I've seen the same system perform differently on different phones.
I don't agree with the path they're running, but I can understand it.
I understand it too. I don't agree with it as well, and I think that they need to really address it. I've said this before.
I think it's a false approach to consumer demand. I really do, because I think consumer demand wants something portable. I think consumer demand wants something viable, but I don't necessarily think consumer demand wants to give up a laptop.
Are we still talking about phones, or are we talking about tablets?
We're talking about the future and mass adoption. Phones and pads, tablets, those things are the future. That's what people are getting. I mean, it's like
phones and pads. Do not say that. Don't say that. That's
tablets.
Not what they're about.
So they're about. It's like the Wii, the Nintendo Wii when it came out, right? It was not the most advanced system by any means, but it sold like crazy because they hit a new segment that wasn't there before.
But that's not what's happening now.
The whole idea is ubiquitous data access.
I want to be able to have the same thing on all my devices. Doesn't matter if it's my PC, my Mac, my tablet, or my phone. I want to be able to pop up and play Angry Birds as fast as I can pop up and hit my music player.
I don't even think it's about that. I think it's about having connectivity. What you do on your phone versus what you do on your computer. On my phone, I'm checking certain things, email, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, things like that. Some are iPhone only specific, but a lot of them are services, data services. Okay.
All right. So story number 2?
Sure. Let's go to story number 2.
So, HP quit while they were number 1. Bill Gates quit when he was making lots of money, right? He was at the top of his game. He quit while he was ahead.
He was not at the top of his game. Are you kidding? The man is like one surgery away from death.
No. I'm talking about Bill Gates.
There's a huge difference between, from what I can perceive, between Bill Gates and Steve Jobs as far as the role in the company.
Okay.
Bill Gates had slowly, been able to build up away from the company.
Well, Jobs has been slowly transferring over to Tim Cook.
Was also being sued about every other year as a monopoly because he was the head of all the companies and as perceived as the head of all the companies. So once he walked away, you don't hear Microsoft get sued anymore.
I don't know. If you look deep enough, I'm sure you'll find the pleadings, or at least some filing. Every company sues every other goddamn company nowadays.
Anyways, we're talking about Steve Jobs now. He announced today.
Where they pointed it at was at their browser integration. And nowadays, there's bigger fry. Sorry.
Yeah.
So Jobs is retiring. He announced that he's retiring. He's going to be no longer CEO of Apple, running it day to day, but he will be on the board. He'll be the chairman of the board.
He needs to go away.
And he's ill. He took a leave. Ill,
but Jobs is very attached to his company.
Yeah.
Possessive, I don't know, but the way that Apple goes forward is very much directed by Jobs. And the question for the longest time has always been, ever since his health became an issue, is what happens to Apple when Jobs goes away, because that's that's going to happen. What kind of company does it become? What is Apple without Jobs, culture-wise, direction-wise?
You know what? I have a feeling that as soon as he's gone, I have the same fear that everyone else does. As soon as he's gone, it's just going to become a homogenized company again. But the problem is, as soon as that happens, everyone's just going to blame it on that and then avoid Apple and someone else will do it. Not that I agree with anything that's life-changing that's come out of Apple. I think they're ridiculous half the time. But you have to admit, they've brought some really cool stuff. Not because they pushed the envelope, because they stayed with something. Unlike other companies who fire sell something 7 weeks after having it. Apple says, hey, I like this iPad thing. I like it, you're going to like it, and if you don't like it, we're going to shove it down your throat.
So I like this one tweet, I retweeted it earlier, that Steve Jobs is resigning as CEO of Apple. He should change his name to Steve Vacation or Steve Chairman or Steve Jobless.
Yeah, I saw that.
The witch is dead.
And that was by Angelina Jolie, by the way.
Oh, really?
I don't know if it's the real one, but maybe.
Well, you must look to see if it's the verified account.
How do you look?
I need to get a verified account, because I need to get a verified account.
You don't need to be verified. You're Couch Guy.
No, I'm not Couch Guy. That's the problem.
Who's going to be impersonating us? It's the whole verified thing has been for.
I'll tell you what. I'm going to start impersonating you and see what happens.
I think you have to have at least 10,000 followers before they'll even consider verifying you.
There's a good metric.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, how many followers does Angelina Jolie have?
A bazillion.
Malaysia.
The whole entire male population minus me.
Yeah, she's only got 4,000 followers. This really isn't her.
Yeah. See? You sure you're not following Brangelina Jolie?
Ada Sue is. I don't know. I don't know who I'm following, but I got a picture of Angelina Jolie.
That's funny.
I'm not following her. It was somebody else had retweeted it, and I retweeted it.
But do you remember what the ad campaign, that's the one thing that Apple taught the world, is if you throw enough money behind an ad campaign, you can sell anything. The iPod had $1 million of advertising that went behind it.
The Newton didn't really work out. They put a lot of ads on that.
I would say that they had the right product at the right time, and it really boils down.
I really think they advertised it a lot compared to some of the other things. They didn't advertise that much and never took off. Because they tested it. Honestly, I believe they tested out their methodology with the iMac. The first one when they put that the iMac was the old CRT monitor when they made the jelly coated shells around 2000.
Yeah.
Earthquake.
Wait, what?
It's over now.
For real?
Something.
Sure you just didn't fart?
No, the floor shook.
So, if the feed goes dead, it's all because, Pox was in an earthquake. They should be having aftershocks for the next 2 weeks.
Is that how long aftershocks last?
That's how long they predict it lasts.
Oh, okay.
But okay, so Go Geeks brings up a good point. Go Geeks said that Apple TV never took off. You didn't see that much advertising put behind the Apple TV. I'm sorry, you didn't.
No, but the Apple TV was also kind of it was harder to integrate for somebody to, bring into their lifestyle. An iPod, they hook it up, they put in their earbuds, they're good to go, but all of a sudden they've got their Apple TV and it's a slew of other options. Hooking it up to the TV, hooking it up to the network, hooking it up to a computer, making sure it has stuff available to actually watch.
I'm just saying that they didn't pursue it that much.
The fact that they made a second one says something right there. They didn't actually cut the line off, but I think they realized that they couldn't push it too hard because of its complexity for the average consumer.
Well, I don't know. I'm not the Apple fanboy, so I'm not.
I'm not a fanboy either, but I TV hardware-wise, software-wise, I could care less.
I agree that it's more difficult to integrate a television interactivity device because of what it is.
Yeah.
But I think that based on the fact that its bedrock is based in iTunes and how it wants to integrate is based in iTunes, that's
always been the kind of the
touchy ground that goes with. I understand that, and that's why they want to.
It's half-assed almost. It's not how I envisioned they could do things, and so I always predicted. I always want them, and I still want them to make their Mac Mini into a media server that isn't tied to iTunes.
I don't think they want to be in that area. I think they want to headline something and own the rights to everything to it, which is why they don't care about that stuff.
What do you mean?
Which is why. Well, like for instance, when it comes to the the iPod and the iPad, it integrates directly into iTunes and nowhere else. Like it has to be based. Whereas
yes, but for a person who says I really don't like iTunes, I'm going to look for other options. There are other options.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, Boxee announced that they're giving a discount to all the Boxee users that want to buy a Boxee box.
Yeah, I got an email from them today. $169 plus shipping.
That's it?
$50 discount. Yeah, it's not much.
It's something.
Once they get Netflix, I'll think about it.
They've had Netflix.
They do?
Yeah. Since like February.
Oh. Okay, that would explain why I missed out on that news then.
Yeah, you were in transit.
Speaking of being in transit and being far away, have we mentioned that this show is going from 3 states right now?
Yeah. Speaking of which,
to your state. Well, if you count the states that the viewers are in, then it's wow, mind blowing.
Stop smoking. You know what else you can do from 3 states away?
No, you don't, because they're not paying us anymore.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, that ended.
Don't mention them.
I need show notes, damn it.
That's why I asked them last time. Where are our sponsors? Just one now.
Just one right now.
Cut that part out.
Anyways, we need to wrap it up because I got to get to bed because it is 1:12 where I'm at right now. And
it's earthquaking.
And it's earthquaking, and I gotta meet with a bunch of guys in the morning. What's happening?
Ow. There's that Mountain Dew go into effect.
I gotta watch
the earthquake test for the.
I should have paid attention on the time, and so I could go back and look and see when I felt that earthquake if it shook the laptop.
I don't think
you start looking around all crazy like so.
Oh yeah.
All right, before you get off, I'm going to check the USGS. I want to see if another one happened.
I was checking Twitter, and it's just old news, nothing new yet. But I don't know what to search for. I was just searching for earthquake.
USGS
is in Louisiana, so we've got 4 states, counting our viewers. And wherever.
Oh, it was a 4.5 earthquake.
That's what a 4.5 is?
Yeah.
You barely notice it? Like, I kind of felt something.
Yeah.
Oh, I felt it. What is it?
There's an analogy that, like, places it as quarters, as like how many quarters stack up, depending on which earthquake it is. And like the difference between a 4 and a 5 is amazing difference in strength.
Because the Richter scale is logarithmic, isn't it?
Yeah. So like the difference between a 6 and a 7 is the difference between 1 through 6. Again, you know.
Yeah.
It's a multi. It was an amazing little demonstration. Like a 10 is basically quarters from the Earth to the Moon.
It's not a linear scale, so it's not very. I don't know. How did they revise the Richter scale?
I don't think they can. Once it's done, it's done. No, seriously. How do you rewrite history when you've got when you base everything off of a Richter scale? It's the same reason they don't like the tornado. Do you know how tornadoes are measured? The F system. It's like an F1. No. I'm not joking about this. It really is a classification systems of F1, F2, F3, F4.
I know. I was just thinking of something in my head. Sorry, go on.
I can imagine with the F system what it would be. Do you know what that's based off of? It's not based on any sort of metric that you would. It's based on destruction.
Destruction of what?
Of property.
Estimated value?
Yeah. Of the amount of property destroyed. So a tornado that's
so it's just that went over, let's say, a single rich person's house would be the equivalent of it sweeping out an entire trailer park.
Yeah. I think it's more about property damage in total, but it's a ridiculous method. But it's also a ridiculous method for measuring.
Damage. That's so silly because most tornadoes they touch down and they don't go anywhere.
If a tree falls in the woods and no one's there to listen, it's it is absolutely ludicrous. But it's a system you can't change.
So I could go outside and kick over a can and change it from an F1 to an F2.
No, but if you watch. But no, here's the thing. If you have a massive tornado, like we're talking those monsters that are like a 1 mile across, and it's going across farmland, nothing, it's not an F5. But if a smaller tornado goes across and blasts its way through a city, it can become an F5.
The whole scale is misleading because people like myself, being an ignoramus, interpret that as the severity of the storm.
No, truly, it's a. Or let's put it, for instance, if a smaller tornado stays alive longer, which they know, smaller ones sometimes can get a higher spin, so it stays alive longer. If it stays alive longer in a heavily populated area, its classification can change very, very dramatically.
Okay, so let me explain it, because I actually just was in one, apparently, just a little while ago. I had my feet on the floor, and the table shook, and it felt like something was hitting my feet really hard. And I'm on the 6th floor of a hotel, so I'm higher up. And apparently, when it happened yesterday, or the day before, it was yesterday. They felt it in New York at the top of the skyscrapers, right? But the people on the floor, they're like, oh, I didn't know anything ever happened.
Yeah, S&P waves. It's kind of interesting how S&P waves travel.
Yeah, but people are freaking out on Twitter again right now. They said it shook me out of bed.
I don't know. I was in a 4.5 or a 4 in Casper one time, and you heard it more than you felt it.
In Casper, they had a 4.5.
In a 4, I think it was a 4.
Really?
Yeah, I was just out of high school, so it was 98, 97, 98.
Huh. How do you know if the building's swaying?
I have a feeling that if you feel the sway...
kind of like this? What floor are you on, Pops?
6th.
You're fine.
Oh, okay, you're fine currently.
Just don't be on the 1st floor, because, all the floors pancake down. Alright, so recent earthquake activity.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, you're on.
All this stuff happened on Twitter. You know, everybody's like, "Yep, it's an aftershock." Blah 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 blah.
Let's see. Come on, give me the list. There's this nice little thing that here. I'll give you the link. And it has this little red box where you're at right now.
Well, anyways, you better end the recorded show because it's getting long.
Yes.
Thank you for being a part of the show, everybody, and seeing me get all scared because there was an earthquake during the show. There'll be another show after I put this one out. I'll probably put this one out. This will probably be out on Monday, and then the next one will be out on
We'll broadcast it Wednesday.
No.
What's the next one going to be about?
This thing, the HP Touchpad. This is Monday's show. I'm going to put out the Communicast sometime before Monday, and then I'll put this one out on Monday.
Oh, okay.
You can see more of our shows at twosmartguys.com. Please subscribe to the feed at iTunes or on YouTube's.
And we have appreciated all of the emails.
Oh, the comments from last week were amazing.
From last week's show, we've got tons of ideas based off those.
Yes, we're going to have a sit down and discuss the future. Or at least start working on the episodes.
And I'm going to start working on that NAS box as soon as I get the parts.
I think they're back in Wyoming now.
Cool.
Anyways, see you guys next week.
Letters.
This has been the Two Smart Guys Productions.